This is Heaven's version of history. The pagan gods disagree. Welcome to Evil Live, the live media commentary show that answers the question, is the universe only 6,000 years old? Subscribe if you're new to the channel, because today we are continuing our In Nomine series with this episode, In Nomine's Historical Timeline. There are a number of factors that make an interesting intellectual property, or IP, a great one. For me, immersion in the lore is at the top of the list. If there's a detailed history, cultural depth, and engaging personalities, then I'm in. In Nomine does this very well, though it did take them until the release of the Game Master's Guide in November of 1999 to flesh it out. In this wonderful tome is a religious history of the world and the timeline that is seen as canon for Celestials. This timeline naturally begins at the beginning and ends in 1998, just prior to publication. This is where your own home campaigns will take over. Naturally, you're free to play In Nomine and completely ignore the timeline, or accept it as the Celestials' view of history, knowing that the pagan gods in the Marches, or the ethereal realm, disagree. But isn't history always defined by the victors? So add to this, bastardize it, or ignore it as you please. But let's take a first look at In Nomine's canon historical timeline. In the beginning, there was light. This is creation. In this light appeared the first soul named Yves. Yves named God. God created the first angels in order of Michael, Lucifer, Baal, David, Eli, Uriel, and Gabriel. The voice of God, Metronon, speaks and directs the angels. They believe Metronon is a seraph, and God speaks through Metronon. The angels create the universe by command, and Yves names everything. They create lesser beings, and other angels created in this time are Asmodeus, Belith, Blandine, Dominic, Jean, Cobal, Malphas, and Raphael. Recorded time begins at 4.6 billion years before Christ, when the earth was formed. 100 million years BC, the archangels Malphas, Gabriel, and David, with a servitor named Belial, heat and break up tectonic plates. Asmodeus and Dominic begin codifying the Word of God. Archangels Belith and Blandine explore the Marches and build their tower. Yves, with Archangels Jean and Raphael, transcribe knowledge. Cobal receives his special assignment, which is yet unknown. Andraelphus is created and becomes the Archangel of Love. Janus, Geordie, and Oannes are also created. Janus learns how to move ocean waves and winds and teaches Oannes. They become the Archangels of the Wind and the Waters, respectively. Geordie discovers how to create corporeal vessels and is given authority over all living creatures as the Archangel of Animals. 67 million years BC, Suminga is created. He witnesses the extinction of the dinosaurs during his first visit to Earth. 500,000 BC, Lucifer teaches early humans how to use fire, with some help from Jean. 25,000 BC, humans develop religion. The Marches are becoming populated with the ethereal creations of human imagination. Humans become the most selfish of all creatures. Geordie decides to wipe out humanity, but Michael, at God's behest, talks him out of it. Geordie still regrets this. Dominic and Mark are given their words and assigned the task of teaching angels and humans how to get along. 23,000 BC, Yves announces that humans are to be left alone, and the corporeal plane is henceforth off limits to angels. Many, especially Lucifer, are dismayed at this. The Eden experiment follows. Novalis, the angel of flowers, creates the Garden of Eden at God's behest. Adam and Lilith are created by God, and Lilith walks away. God creates Eve to replace her. Adam and Eve live in Eden for several years before Ophis, a servitor of Baal, sneaks in and taints the experiment. God calls the experiment inconclusive and forbids further celestial intervention. Dominic places the cherub Jophiel at the gates of Eden. Lucifer has a long talk with God through Metronon, but is not satisfied. 22,625 BC, the Fall. After recruiting a third of the host, Lucifer leads his rebellion. In his last private talk with God, he destroys Metronon. Uriel, formerly a seraph, becomes the first Malachite during the rebellion. The cherub David quickly follows. Michael kicks Lucifer out of heaven. The Lightbringer plummets to the farthest reaches of the universe, followed by his fellow rebels. They are trapped in hell. The last ice age begins. Michael is made Archangel of War and appointed General of Heaven's armies. God lifts the ban on celestial intervention, but insists on subtlety. 22,000 BC. The Seraphim Council is created. Dominic is elevated to Archangel and forms the Divine Inquisition. Mark becomes the first Archangel elected to that position by the Seraphim Council. Novalis becomes the second. Archangels begin organizing their servitors into formal hierarchies. 16,000 BC. With Lilith's help, the diabolicals escape hell, first finding their way to the Marches and from there to Earth. Belith begins building her tower opposite Blandine's. Lilith becomes the Princess of Freedom. The demons gradually begin acting more openly. The Grigori Choir is created to guard humanity against diabolical influences. 11,600 BC. The second fall. The Grigori succumb to lust, begin having children, and neglect their jobs. David and Uriel's angels intervene, slaughtering the Grigori's Nephilim children, and round up the Watchers. Dominic tries them and finds them guilty. The Seraphim Council votes to cast them out. The war is beginning in earnest, as angels and demons do battle across Earth, disturbing the symphony and slaughtering many humans. 2000 BC. Ethereal spirits are becoming powerful pagan deities, sometimes rivaling the power of an archangel. The Seraphim Council declares something must be done. Yves suggests promoting monotheism as a way to cut off ethereal worship. Abraham leaves the city of Ur. He makes a pact with God and becomes the patriarch of Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. 1700 BC. Oannes traps and destroys his former servitor, Vethar, the demon prince of the oceans. 1627 BC. Oannes is slain by Belial. During the battle, the island of Thera explodes, leading to the collapse of the Minoan civilization. 1600 BC. Gebelith, prince of secrets, disappears. No one notices. 1580 BC. The trial of Michael. Dominic accuses Michael of pride, promoting pagan personality cults, and creating too much disturbance with his actions. Michael is found guilty, but God acquits him. Michael steps down as leader of the host, replaced by Uriel. 1550 BC. Seminga arrives in Egypt and begins to study their necromantic arts, becoming proficient at it with some help from the Egyptian gods, and earns the Word of Death. 1500 BC. Egyptians start removing mummy brains to thwart Seminga. 1200 BC. Seminga becomes the Prince of Death. Lucifer grants him Abaddon. 859 BC. Magog, a Kyriotate of stone and angel of fortitude, has been patronizing the Hittites, Assyrians, and Sea peoples, spurring them toward conquest so he can strike against Seminga in Egypt. Finally, David confronts his servitor. Magog falls, and Lucifer crowns him Prince of Cruelty. The next day, David, with the help from Khalid, the angel of faith, imprisons Magog and his followers beneath the Egyptian desert. 700 BC. Mammon becomes the Prince of Greed. 600 BC. Eli works with the prophet Zoroaster in Persia to promote monotheism. 500 BC. Zadkiel becomes the Archangel of Protection. 200 BC. Uriel begins patronizing the Roman Republic to keep the pagan gods they worship under control. 146 BC. Demogorgon, the demon of destruction, is destroyed by Belial amidst speculation that Lucifer is about to crown him prince. 50 BC. Lawrence is created by Uriel. 6 BC. Gabriel announces the conception of Jesus Christ. 60 AD. Yves, Gabriel, and Raphael work together and somehow cause Christianity to spread so rapidly that it begins cutting off many pagan gods from their worshippers. Michael eventually supports Christianity also, but becomes hostile to Yves at this time. 325 AD. Council of Nicaea. Constantine makes Christianity the official state religion of Rome. Uriel and Dominic declare their support for the faith. Lythroi becomes the Archangel of Revelation. 331 AD. Lawrence becomes the Angel of the Sword. 400 AD. Hagenti is created and spends the next 600 years as an abused familiar. 455 AD. Beelzebub, first prince of corruption, is slain by Uriel. 610 AD. At Yvez's behest, Gabriel visits the prophet Muhammad. Muhammad receives divine revelations, which becomes the Quran, for the next 23 years. 632 AD. Muhammad dies. Dominic summons Gabriel to heaven to try him for heresy. The Archangel of Fire angrily storms out of the Seraphim Council and begins his self-imposed exile from heaven. Soon thereafter, Gabriel begins assuming female form more often. 715 AD. Purification crusades begin. Belith offers the ethereal sanctuary in her realm for a price. Some pagan gods flee to the far marches instead. 732 AD. Lawrence and Khalid, servitors of purity, are present on opposite sides at Poitiers, France. 745 AD, as Uriel's forces raise the marches, he is called before the Seraphim Council, but is unrepentant. God abruptly orders Uriel to the higher heavens. Some claim it was the voice of the slain Metronon who called him. Lawrence is elevated to archangel and made general of the host in Uriel's place. Khalid begins promoting Islam. 750 AD. Khalid becomes the Archangel of Faith. He begins withdrawing from the Seraphim Council, spending more time on Earth. 793 AD, Valefor appears for the first time, stealing the word of Ganubuth, Prince of Rapine. Ganubuth disappears, and Lucifer makes Valefor the Prince of Theft. 900 AD, Kronos first appears as the Prince of Fate. Legend speculates that Lucifer actually found him centuries before this. 1008 AD, Legion, a Shiite servitor of Suminga, learns how to possess multiple hosts. Lucifer is pleased and names him Prince of Corruption. Legion soon goes mad, and as he begins possessing humans by the dozens, then by the hundreds, heaven and hell team up for the first time to destroy him. In the end, Raphael, Archangel of Knowledge, sacrifices herself to destroy Legion. During this battle, the young demon Hagenti distinguishes himself. Cobal takes a liking to him and adopts the creature as his brother. 1009 AD. Hagenti becomes the demon of gluttony. He increases rapidly in power, gathering an army and sweeps through hell, devouring Messerach, Prince of Sloth, before Lucifer makes him a prince. Following his ascension to prince, he devours Mariel, Princess of Oblivion. 1212 AD. The Children's Crusade prompts the naming of an angel of children, Christopher, a servitor of stone. 1348 AD. Makatiel, the renegade demon prince of disease, accelerates the spread of the Black Death, trying to destroy mankind. Servitors of Asmodeus and Dominic collaborate openly for the first time to hunt down and destroy the Mad Prince. 1517 AD. Lawrence's last lesson. By using his agent Martin Luther to instigate change in the Catholic Church, Lawrence inadvertently sparks the Protestant Reformation. 1771 AD. As factories spread across England, Vipula, the demon of technology, is quietly elevated to prince. Richard Arkwright is believed to have assisted as Vipula's servant. 1800 AD. Alamon, once a Mercurian of Revelation, becomes the second Prince of Secrets. 1864 AD. Fluority, a servitor of gluttony, becomes the demon of drugs. 1884 AD. Nibus and several human allies invent television. He's given the word of the media and simultaneously crowned prince. He quickly takes over perdition. 1900 AD. Cobal, growing jaded, begins spending less time on Earth. Meanwhile, Eli starts assigning his servitors to other archangels. 1957 AD. Eli goes AWOL, abandoning his heavenly cathedral. 1978 AD. Christopher becomes an archangel. 1986. Crack cocaine gets Fluority named prince. 1997 AD. Furfur, renegade Calibite of fire and demon of hardcore, is made prince. 1998 AD. Khalid is brought back from the brink of a fall, but remains somewhat isolated from the rest of the host. And that brings us up to speed at the time of printing. Modules and supplements have further detailed out the history and, of course, your own game tables. So, what was your favorite aspect of the timeline? Thank you for watching today's In Nomine episode. Subscribe and ring the bell if you're new to the channel. Don't forget to click the like button and comment to let others learn about this award-winning role-playing game and this channel. And as always, remember that evil spelled backwards is live. So get out there and be evil.